What is going on, everybody? We are back for another episode of the ABJ Podcast, episode 99 with Joey Image. Super excited for this one. One episode away from that number 100. Who will that episode be? We don't know. Actually, I do, but I don't. I'm pre-recording these. We all know that this is being done in October. We're stockpiling episodes because we don't know what the future holds for the ABJ podcast. But if you want to make sure the podcast stays alive, join the Patreon. You can get to see the episodes earlier on a Monday before they drop on a Thursday, as well as merchandise and t-shirts and all that stuff. Whether it be on Teespring, TeePublic, Pro Wrestling Tees just dropped here for me in October, the beginning of this month. So I am on Pro Wrestling Tees. Brainbuster coming soon. But by the time that all this, you guys hear or listen to this, that'll already be done and posted on social media, but kind of keeping you up to date of when this is being aired and recorded and all that fun stuff. Also check out the links below for my guest, who is one of the commentary team of Three Legacies Wrestling. We've had the owner, we've had his play-by-play, and now the color I forget how he's how did Chris say it? Color coordinator and not commentator. I forget what he said, but yeah, and we're going to hear his whole story here. Me and him been talking for a while, video games and everything else. So I'm pretty excited to come in, learn about his history in this business, learn about maybe pick his brain about commentary and how he goes about doing things. And then we can talk about some fun things like video games and pop culture that we're all into. So without further ado, let's kick this interview off. The one, the only, Joey Image. What's going on?
Good morning, sir.
Man?
I'm here for doing? ABJ.
Yes, everyone loves ABJ. Yeah.
Yes, sir. What's going on, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. I'm hanging in there, just ripping through interviews like you wouldn't believe, just trying to get these done and out of the way and
yeah, good.
Start life again, I guess, right? But yeah, man. So thank you for doing this. You know, you've been around for quite some time. Give everyone on the, that's listening an idea who you are, what's your name, and a quick summary of what you've done in this business.
I haven't done anything. Good night, folks. I'm just a guy. I don't know. I started I started training in December of 99, December 19th, 99, actually. And I had my first match in June of 20. Jesus, I was gonna say June of 2015. That's a lot of training. Holy Christ!
No, your trainer. They were getting the money's worth.
Yeah. I went once a year for training. Actually, my last match was June 2015. My first was June of 2000. That's what I was trying to say. Jesus. Yeah. So I don't know. I've been everything, man. I started as a wrestler, obviously, but I'm also fully trained as a ref. I've been a manager. I've done the commentary thing now. I've done literally everything there is to do in wrestling other than ring announcing. So, I mean, I've done refereeing, I've done managing, obviously wrestling, commentary, play-by-play, and color. I've done video editing, audio editing, promoting, booking, writing storylines. I don't like saying it that way, but that's 2023. That's what it is now.
Yeah, that whole veil's been pulled off.
Yeah, agent / producer. Hey, I still have kayfabe on my license plates in my car, so that's the only place that still lives, I think, is on my freaking car.
Do you have the PA
Jersey?
What's that? The Jersey version?
Yeah, I know who has the PA one. I've taken a picture of our cars next to each other.
Yeah, Ultra Menace has the PA version.
Yes.
Yeah.
Completely. I guess I don't know what the word is. Completely unexpected or unknown. Neither one of us had met before this particular show that we met at in 2017, I think it was.
Yeah.
And he got there first, and again, I didn't know that there was somebody else with the kayfabe plate in Pennsylvania. So I pulled in and I'm looking for a parking spot, and it caught my eye, and I'm just looking to see where I could park, and I saw the license plate, and I'm like, oh my God, I have to park right next to this guy. So I parked as far away as I could, or as close as I could, should say, and still got my door open. So I parked and I went inside, and the first thing I said was to the promoter, I was like, who's got the kayfabe? Oh, Ultraman is Black. He wants to see you. I'm like, what do you mean he wants to see me? And he's like, well, he doesn't know who you are either, but he said whoever has because I guess somebody had stooged off that there was another kayfabe plate. Like someone saw it and said, holy shit, Joey Image got the same plate from Jersey. So he said, when he shows up, tell him to come and see me. So we didn't get a picture together, which we were going to, but we forgot about it. But
Yeah.
we went outside, took a picture of our cars next to each other, and it was like my Twitter like header picture for so long.
I want to get kayfabe in this, right? Like DED, like dead. That'll be my or just make a super 90s kayfabe 69.
Yeah. But yeah, I didn't know that. And I pulled in and I saw it. I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. Like I'm gonna park next to this guy. I have to. It was so
How do you
fun.
feel that it just now, like as of this recording, beginning of this month, it finally has been entered into the dictionary. The word
that
kayfabe.
means it's dead. It can't live if it's if people know about it, then it doesn't.
It's Fight Club.
Once it exists, it no longer exists.
Yeah, so it's officially there. It is.
It's terrible. I think it's horrible. I'm like legitimately not happy about it, but I don't write the dictionary.
Yeah.
So, I don't know who does that. Merriam-Webster guy, he's a prick.
Yeah. So I like that. It is kind of interesting because like the way to grow now, like the business has changed so much. Like a locker room in 99 and a locker room in 2023 are two different locker rooms. The way the business is handled is completely different.
Been in both.
In some ways good, in some ways bad. Like you talk about the old school guys would kind of sometimes take liberties with people, or things would happen that aren't really good. I mean, we all watched Dark Side of the Ring. Some of that stuff was not awesome, but like I was saying earlier, I was like, I've been in locker rooms and the only thing I've ever really seen is maybe a beer and some weed after a show. Like, but back in the day, everyone's talking about the craziest stuff backstage at wrestling shows.
Seen stuff. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'll put it this way: I've shared locker rooms with Balls Mahoney. That's that's really. I've also shared a car. I've also shared a car with him at a liquor store at 9:00 in the morning. So.
Yeah, so a lot of history.
That's an experience. Yeah. Oh my god, yeah.
But when it comes to how you kind of talk about kayfabe, so people who are listening to this, if you're not a professional wrestling fan, a lot of yous are. I'm not going to insult your intelligence, but there are a few who listen in because they're not fans of wrestling, but they like the stories. But kayfabe is essentially the idea of the what's behind the curtain, the illusion of the idea of professional wrestling. If you're a character, you're your character. If you're in a grocery store and someone comes up to you and says, "Hey, are you?" and you're a bad guy, you spit in their face. And some people,
because you gotta uphold it, and maintain it. It's essentially like the illusion that everything's real. So if you and I are a brother tag team, we're not in real life brothers, but we're kayfabe brothers.
Yeah,
essentially. But you got it.
Yeah. The history of kayfabe. I guess the first time it really was pulled back, it was what Duggan and
and Sheik
getting caught, pulled over
in Jersey, right here in Jersey,
with a lot of drugs, and one's Mr. America and one's Mr. Middle East, and they're driving in a car together
while they're feuding on TV at the time. What in the hell?
But
the first time that I did a I think it was 2012, the end of 2012, I did like a charity convention in Houston, Texas. It was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Hacksaw was on those shows, and that was the first time I had met him. And I'm like, look, man, I know we just met, but I don't really. Actually, I shouldn't say that. That's not the first time I met him. That's the first time I got to like sit down and like talk to him.
Yeah.
Because I had met him when I was booking shows. I had booked him once or twice, but the first time I got to actually have like a not non-wrestling, because I brought up wrestling, but like a conversation just about anything. And I'm like, look, man, I realized that we never really talked deeply before, but what the fuck was with you and Sheik? He's like, oh, I fucked up, brother. Or we fucked up. I think it's what he said. We fucked up. Something like that.
I met him when I was a kid. He was super cool. Back in the day when wrestling would happen a lot in like high schools, before like schools were like, hey, we shouldn't do this in schools anymore.
Yeah.
I can actually tell you the moment that it shut down for us in our area, School County, but in our local school, Monty area, which is a couple blocks away, Papa Shango was there. Duggan was there. Doink was there.
Which one?
They're the ones like King Kong Bundy was there that night. That was a cool night.
I miss that guy so much,
dude. I'm repeating myself on the podcast, but you'll enjoy the story. After the show, they all went across the street to the fire company that's right across the street. My dad's a local firefighter, so he got to go in, and he was like, hey,
nice.
My son is a huge wrestling fan. can anyone just come out and say hi to him? It would really mean a lot. Like, I'm kind of also a firefighter. I work for a different company, but I'm friends with everybody here. And he said he opened the door and said that, and like everyone kind of like looked over the shoulders and like nah, and just kept drinking. And he said King Kong Bundy put his beer down and goes, "Where's your kid?" And he
I
goes,
was going to say either Hacksaw or Bundy would have been the first guy to get up.
Yeah, Bundy was like, "Where's your kid?" And he goes, "He's out here in the engine room." And Bundy put his drink down. I don't know if he was drinking, I probably was, but he went out in the engine room and he's like, "What's up, bud?" I'm like, "Oh my God." And and I'm like, "My little cousins are gonna be so jealous." And he goes, "Well, where are your cousins?" And I'm like, "Well, they're out the house." And he's like, "I didn't want to swarm the whole firehouse with like there's like there's like 6 of them." He goes, "How far is it?" And he goes, "It's literally right around the corner." And he goes, "Is it walking distance?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Go get the kid." He goes, "Go get the kids. I'll hang out with him." So like,
I'll stay here. You walk.
Yeah, my little so I'm being babysat for 15 minutes by King Kong Bundy, and we're wrestling around in the engine room of this firehouse, and he was super cool. And then
he was such a good guy, man.
We got a picture of like me on his shoulders, 2 of my cousins hanging off his arm, 2 of them wrapped around his one leg, and then his other leg up in the air, and someone hanging off his leg, and like he was just like that was like the first wrestler I ever met, and he was just.
You still have that picture?
No, I lost it in a house fire. Yeah, I lost like my whole childhood in the house
fire.
Yeah,
no, I know. I didn't know if that was something that maybe got saved or something.
I wish.
He was such a good dude, man. That's like one of the. I mean, I'm jumping ahead here, but one of the things that kind of blew my mind, like later on into my career. So, like, I don't know, 2011, 2012, when I had already been in the business for 11, 12 years, and he would call me and go, "Hey, Joe, it's Chris. I need blah 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 blah." And I'm like, "What the fuck?" Like, even every time, like it would be like, I don't know, a year after we first met, and I'd still be like, "This is King Kong Bundy calling me." First of all, calling me, second of all, calling me by my first name and telling me, "Hey, it's Chris," not like, "Hey, it's Bundy, you fucking prick," or whatever.
Yeah.
But like he used to run a company in Egg Harbor, New Jersey, which is down by Atlantic City, where he's from. So he would call me and go, I need like, a guy that could do this, or I need a girl that looks like this, or whatever. And I would just tell him, yeah, so and so, here, look up this guy, call this guy or whatever. And I would give him names and stuff. And I mean, he would book me too. The first time he called me, I said, "Only if you book me." He's like, "Of course."
Yeah. That's gotta be weird to be booked by like King Kong Bundy. Like,
I don't even remember when we met. I know I did something on TV in 2006 for News 12 New Jersey. And I remember it aired at like 8 a.m., but we had to fucking be there at like 6 a.m. And when they put it on TV, they put the big live thing at the top. It wasn't live.
Yeah.
I still have it on
VHS, brother.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. It may actually be on my YouTube channel if I remember correctly. But yeah, it was like 6 o'clock in the morning. We had to be there, and he was there, and he did something. I don't know. He was doing some kind of like, not a seminar, but like showing. It was just like a half-hour piece just on wrestling. So they would do like 5 or 6 minutes with us, and then go like, "All right, now we're gonna do weather," and then it would cut to like the weather guy, and then they come back to this Tony Caputo, who was the whatever you call him, newscaster, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And we did it at Gino Caruso's place in Lake Hiawatha. And they would cut back to us and go, "Okay, now we're going to do, this." And we'll go back and we'll cut back to us. And then we'll do another 6 or 7 minutes. And they would go, "Okay, now we're going to do sports." And they cut to the sports guy back in Sea Caucus at the studio, and then cut back to us. And it ended up being like 30 minutes or something like that. But I think that may be the first time that I actually met Bundy. And we just kind of, somehow, for some reason, he liked me.
Yeah.
So we just started talking. And then from there, when he started running, he was running Devastation Wrestling Federation in Jersey, and no, it's not there.
There's only 2 people that I've met that I like geeked out over, and there's probably should have been more. Like the day I met Bob Backlund, I was kind of like, I wasn't geeking out, but I was like, oh my God, for how old he is, he's still a fucking psychopath. Like it's 9 a.m. and he's running around screaming.
That thing actually is on my YouTube, but the only so I did a match that day. Like we just started, I think, I don't even know if it was called IHPW. So Pete Ferrero started, who used to run CWF, which was like Championship Wrestling Federation in Jersey. And I used to go to those shows before I got started. And so he eventually changed the name and blah blah blah. So we did like we did some kind of title tournament for I got it right here, their US title.
Yeah.
So we did the finals, which was me and Chris Rockwell, who was Chris Idol at the time. we did the finals on live on News 12. So we did like 2 or 3 shows beforehand, and we lined up the dates where the finals would just happen to be on the same day that they were coming down to film us. So actually, I shouldn't say it. That wasn't done on purpose. That's just how it lined up.
Yeah.
And then I was like, why don't we, or actually Pete may have said, why don't we just do this live on television? I'm like, that would be awesome because we're going to be there anyway doing the News 12 thing. So he's like, why don't we just do a match? So we did a match, and like it started in progress, just like, we planned like whatever 30 seconds or something like that, and a minute, and we just started doing it right before they came back from commercial, and then it just happened to pick up. So if you watch the clip, it actually looks like we were going while they were talking, but we just started. But it was like 6 o'clock in the morning, and we're like, oh, are you kidding me? And then it didn't air till 8 o'clock. Like, if we're just gonna do it live, then just let us go there at 8, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, sorry to go off on a tangent there, but
you're good.
Yeah,
you're good.
That clip's actually on my my YouTube channel, which I didn't realize.
That's all. Did you win?
No.
Oh,
no.
You would have won the title on the news. That would have been cool.
Yeah. But no, that was the first time I had met Bundy in person, and I don't know, he liked us, and me and Chris, and we just started talking, and then like I said, when he started running, actually, there's a funny. I can't tell it on the air because one of the guys still alive, but I can tell you off air a Bundy story. But it's not about him. It's his story about somebody else that he actually told me and Rockwell and Pete on that day that we had on a day that we had saw him or whatever. But I'll tell you when we're not recording.
Yeah.
So when he started running Devastation Wrestling Federation, he used to book me all the time, and I had a blast going down there. And then it was like 3 shows, and it was like, okay, he sold it to like Doc Diamond, I think. You changed it to something else, and then I never heard back from anybody there, so I just gave up trying.
Yeah.
But like I said, I mean, it was 10, 11 years after I already started, and probably I don't even remember what year that was now. I just saw it too. I think it was 2004. So probably 7 years or 6 years after I'd first met him, and he would call me, and I'm like, I can't believe it. I'd hang up the phone and go, he just called me Joe, and he told me to call him Chris. It's amazing.
Yeah. But kind of going back, like the first one I met there, and then later on, my first show, like being at a show, I got to meet him twice. But Jimmy Hart, I got like really weird with. I was like as a kid, like I was like, you're Jimmy fucking Hart, like that one. That was a weird one to get over. And then I never really got to have like a full blown conversation. But I was working a con, and he was across the room. Now you work cons, there's legends everywhere. Like every legend is in the room, and you're kind of like, oh, that's kind of neat. Like I get to see them with my eyes. Like that's kind of wild.
Yeah, in person. Yeah.
You get to go have a brief conversation, and you get to see people on TV and legends. And there's only one person that I've ever been in a room with that I just couldn't stop staring at, because like this guy was like besides Sean, the other 3 guys who like I was obsessed with was like Rude. I loved Perfect, with Macho Man, Piper were like my guys. But the 5th guy there that I was like obsessed with was Jake the Snake Roberts. And I look across, I just kept staring across the room like, that's fucking Jake the Snake. Yeah. And like I work up the courage, and I walk over, and it's funny because if maybe like months before this, I worked with Lance Archer during an autograph signing, and I walked up, and I was like, he's not gonna remember me. And he's just like, you're not gonna say hi, Anthony? And I was like, I did not think you're gonna remember me. He's like, absolutely, man. We had a good conversation. Like, oh, you just made my day. Thank you. And I was like, I'm coming to meet Jake. And he's like, yeah, man, it's super cool. And I get to talk to him. Like, I get to hear his voice. I'm super excited. And on the 8x10 was him getting bit like by snake bite Macho Man. I was like,
Macho Man thing. Yeah.
I was like, this fucked me up as a kid. I was like, I thought you killed him. He goes, I tried to get him. I tried to kill him. You know what I mean? And I was like, yes. But like,
I met him when I was a kid. Like, I guess I think it was 96, maybe SummerSlam 96 or Survivor Series or something. One of those 2 was here in Jersey. And me and my cousin were like driving all over the state. There was HBK did an autograph session at the dealership like 10 minutes from here.
I never met HBK.
The Honda dealership. Jake was doing this is the weirdest one. It was him at McDonald's, literally just sitting on a table with burgers. It was so, but it was like an advertised autograph signing. It wasn't like we just happened to see him there.
Yeah.
So it was so weird. And somebody else did one, and I forget who.
And he's a
in fact,
he's a WWF signed person in a McDonald's at that time.
Yeah,
That's
it was
nuts.
Jake and HBK. And in fact, if you watch AEW, Alex Abrahantes, the what's his name, Penta's manager, he was with myself. He was with myself and my cousin at the HBK signing and the Jake signing.
I've met him a couple times. He's really nice.
Yeah, he's a good dude. I've known him for 200 years now. I met him through my cousin. They went to high school together.
Actually, I seen him when I was at Wembley. He walked through like the crowd. He was just like, hey, like he's all about meeting people. He's a really nice guy.
Yeah, he's a good dude. Yeah, that's the only time I had ever met Jake when I was still a fan, and then I met him like once at a show where he just had a merch table set up. He wasn't even on the show; he was just there as a guest. That myself and my buddy Eric used to run Pro Wrestling Syndicate. So PWS, we ran it. Well, he ran it for a lot longer than I did. I think I quit after the first like year because it just got to be too much money. But yeah, I think we booked Jake and DDP. I think they weren't like a thing at the time. Like the DDP thing wasn't a thing yet, but yeah, they were both on one of those shows up in Ronkonkoma, New York that we did.
Now, being a Jersey guy, who's a Jersey legend that you like
Bam Bam
worked with or got to meet that like was a big Bam Bam? That's another one. They just
I never met Bigelow. I never met him, but he was like when I was growing up, like that was like the guy, man. Like shit. Like when was what year was Mania 11? I don't know. I remember all my friends
like years.
LT, man, LT. I'm like, God, I don't remember either.
Yeah.
5 was 89. That was the best WrestleMania ever. Still, WrestleMania 5, best one ever. Not debatable.
Not debatable. I will say 10 only because I love that ladder match and it's Madison Square Garden and
MSG. Yeah,
and there was a fake Bill Clinton.
That was amazing. I didn't know at the time it was a gimmick Bill Clinton, but Jesus Christ.
We actually reviewed that show on Tornado Tag, and the match one of the matches I enjoyed the most on that thing, everyone made fun of me for, but it's a Bigelow match. It's Bigelow and Luna versus Doink and Dink. And Luna kicks the shit out of Dink.
She's another one that like that story you just told where I met her once on a show somewhere. I don't even remember. And then years later, I worked with her on a show, and she remembered my name and everything. I'm like, holy shit!
Everyone says she was an absolute sweetheart.
Yeah, she was such a sweetheart. Actually, remind me to tell you the Luna story off the air too. there was one story I could tell you about Luna. And speaking of IHPW, when Gangrel would come in and do shots for us, I was always his driver. I'd always go pick him up at the airport, drop him off his hotel, pick him up the next day, bring him to the airport, whatever. So the one time we were where the hell were we? I think we were in Hackensack, New Jersey. We were going like to Wayne or something, which is like right. I'm pointing as if you can see it. It's right over there.
Yeah, it's right over here.
There. It's a few miles from where I live now with my wife, But yeah, we were like in the McDonald's parking lot, and she just happened to call him at that time, or not in the parking lot, in the drive-thru, and she just happened to call him at the time and like gave him shit because he was eating McDonald's, and she's like, "But I'm not paying for it. It wasn't my decision." And I'm like, "Hey man, don't throw me under the bus, dude."
Yeah, I don't want to get fucked up by Luna.
But then I worked with her on a World Star Wrestling show in Lancaster actually in like 07 or 08. And the times that I guess I actually didn't meet her in person. I spoke to her over the phone when I would pick up Gangrel. And that was 04, 05. And then years later, I think it was 08, 09, something like that in Lancaster is when I actually worked with her in person. And I said, "Oh, I used to drive Dave, I used to drive your husband around, whatever, when he would do shots for me for us in New Jersey. And for a company called IHPW, it used to be CWF, and I went on this whole thing. She's like, "You're Joe. I know you. Yes, Dave talks about you a lot, and blah, blah, blah. He really likes you and all this shit. And you pick him up all the time, and you're always punctual. You're not late. And when he shows up, he knows he has a ride there, and blah, blah." I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome." And yeah, she remembered me from there, and then I saw her at a signing like 4 years later, and she still remembered me. And I'm like, "This is freaking insane."
It's so sick. Her and Sherry are my favorite females in professional wrestling. Like they're still hands down 1 and 2 for me.
I would have loved to have met Sherry.
Yeah. They're number 1 and number 2. Everyone talks about Elizabeth, and I was like, nah, give me Sherry and Luna. I like those crazy. And they both
Yeah.
manage Sean, which always helps because I'm a huge Sean mark.
Yeah.
But so growing up, you're a lifelong fan. You talked about training and stuff, and the year you got into it. How did at that point in time? I'm not trying to date you here, but how did and like I said, it's a different business back then. It wasn't something you could just go in, type in on the internet, and say, hey, let me into this secret society carny business. How do you go about getting into it at that point in time?
Even in like the late 90s, like when I first got started, it was the same. Like, I mean, it was loosening up a little bit. Like you could find an ad in the back of like PWI for like Larry Sharp's Monster Factory, which I looked at all the time, and then I realized like, oh, they're 2.5 hours away, and it was like 4 days a week. How the hell am I going to get there and get home and continue to, because I was still in high school at the time when I started looking, and I'm like, oh, it's not going to work. I'll have to wait a few years, and then I waited, like I said, till 99. But so my ex-girlfriend, my girlfriend at the time, worked for a company that made hats and t-shirts, like embroidery and stuff like that. So they would do like logos or like something on a hat or whatever. And 2 guys came in that wanted hats, tag team hats for whatever the team was. I don't even remember. I don't remember their names right now, sadly. And one of them passed away like 2 years ago, and I feel bad because I don't remember who it was.
You meet a lot of people in this business.
Yeah, and unfortunately, a lot of them go very early. But yeah, so these guys came in and wanted like hats, or I think it was just hats made. And not to toot my own horn, but this was a 5'9". I mean, I'm 5'7". She was 5'9", long blonde hair, nice up top, nice downstairs. Everything was great. So she says, "Hey, give me your phone number. My boyfriend wants to call you. You're gonna fucking ignore the boyfriend word and give me your phone number." Yeah. So that's what happened. Oh, this guy Mike came in, and Mike, that was the one guy's name. Jesus. I don't remember his last name, and I don't remember his partner's name at all. But I remember his partner was tall and like
nice
big.
Upstairs, good in the bottom.
Yes. Man, I don't remember who the partner was now, but she explained everything. I wanted to get into it, and I had looked years ago, and whatever, Larry Sharp's was too far, blah, blah, blah. So they were like, "Oh, tell him to call, give one of us a call later on tonight." And I think she only gave me the one guy's phone number, and I'll talk and I'll introduce him to a guy that has a school local to here. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I called that night, and I'm like, is this the guy Mike? And they're like, he's like, who the hell is this? I'm like, oh, this is Joe. Like, you met my girlfriend, the tall. Oh yeah, the hat girl. I'm like, yes.
Yep,
so
thanks.
He explained everything. Yeah. So he explained everything, and he was like, listen, there's a guy called Kevin Knight that's got a house. Well, I'm sure he does have a house, but he's got a school right by here. And at the time I was living in Emerson, which is, I don't know, 5 or 6 miles from like the New York state border of Rockland County. So from there, the school is maybe like 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Now I actually, coincidentally, I live walking distance from where it was, which is like such a, talk about a 180.
Full circle. Yeah.
Or 360, one of those two. I don't know. I don't know, whatever the hell it is. It's a coincidence.
It's geometry.
So he was like, yeah. So yeah, I was never a math guy. So he was like, come down.
That's why we're in pro wrestling.
Yeah. He's like, I'll give you the address. Meet me there. Meet me outside, and then I'll bring you in and introduce you to Kevin and blah, blah, blah. So basically that's what happened. He brought me in. I found out that he didn't actually work for Kevin. He had done like little shows for them once in a while, but he was never like a regular guy there or whatever. So like bringing in students for Kevin was his way of trying to get booked.
Yeah.
But he sat me down, introduced us, and then he left. He was like, "Oh, I'll let you guys talk business. I'm going to take off." He took off. I talked to Kevin for maybe an hour, and he was like, "Well, here's what we do. Before you actually get in a ring and do anything, or before you actually start training," he's like, "before you even agree to sign up and give me money, we usually recommend that people come in for like a week or two, not for the week, but like on, 1 day a week or 2 days a week, whatever it is, however often as you want before you decide that you actually want to do this. So we want you to come and watch a class in action and watch our training before you." He's like, "We don't want people to come in here and pay whatever we agree on for a deposit and then decide they don't want to do it, and then you're already committed because they make you sign a contract that says I agree to pay this much every month." Because the tuition was the same total, but everyone paid it differently, So
that's actually kind of honorable in a way, because
Yes.
like today they'll look at you and be like, there's zero chance that
Right.
you're gonna be a professional wrestler, and we know you have zero chance of doing this, but we will drag you out and take as much as we can for like, we
Take
know
the
we're
money.
never gonna
Yes.
you're never gonna wrestle. You're probably gonna be a manager, or if you pay enough money, we'll let you do something. But
And the cooler thing about it was that I went for 6 weeks before I paid a dime. And even in my head, because my ex, the one that introduced me to Mike, she came with me because she was a fan too, and she was like, I want to kind of be like a manager, like a girl ballet or whatever.
You're
So
like, hey, no problem. Keep coming
yeah,
through.
so we went for 6 weeks, 6 Sundays in a row, and we just sat and watched. And I'm like, this is amazing. So I say my training started December 19th, 1999, but I physically didn't actually sign up to start training until mid-January, 2000. But I mean, we were there for 5 to 6 hours at a shot, 6 Sundays in a row, just learning. So in my mind, I was training. You know what I mean? I mean, I still think that, even though I wasn't officially signed up as a student. And then it was 6 months before we had a first match. My first match was June of 2000, and the rest is history. But yeah, I mean, I had to know somebody. I mean, again, I didn't know this guy. My girlfriend at the time just met him, and it worked out. And I mean, I don't know if it worked out for the fans watching me, but I had a blast.
Yeah. What are some matches in your career that are highlights for you? Like ones that you look back on very fondly, or some moments that just are really were eye-opening for you as a performer?
Oh man. Jesus, I don't even know if I had any had any good matches. I think so I used to do well, let me rewind one. So getting back to the IHBW thing again, and CWF, when they were still CWF, they used to run shows at a place called Skaters World, which is in Wayne, New Jersey, which I pointed to before is 10 minutes away or whatever. So I'm still here. I'm just switching the camera over. So I used to go to the Skaters World shows all the time before I got started. It's a mess behind me, so I just blurred the background.
You're good. You're good.
So I used to go to the Skaters World shows for like 2 years before I even thought about looking for a school again. This is years after I looked for the Larry Sharp thing. And 908 is Jersey, right? Yeah. I don't know who this is, so I'm not going to answer the phone.
I know it's not King Kong Bundy.
No.
That'd be weird.
You know what? I'm going to see if I still have his number. I probably don't, because that's 200. Actually, that was before iPhones were even a thing, so I probably don't have it.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was when I had my. No, I don't have anything under Bundy. That was probably when I had my. I had a Sanyo Katana flip phone. It was a Razor, my Motorola Razor ripoff. Yeah. I mean, it looked identical. Cases, like you used to put the leather case that would fold on it with the hole in it, so you could see the logo.
I never got the idea of the case for the Razor. It was so weird.
Phones? I didn't understand it either. But yeah, everything from the Razor phone fit on that phone. It was just a knockoff. But anyway, so when I was working when they were doing stuff before I got started, I used to go to the Skaters World shows all the time. It was just a big skating rink, and they would just put the ring in the center, and it was always packed. Like, that place was always packed. So but again, this was a year or two before I got started. I was always like, man, I want to wrestle in this building just because I think it's cool. It's a shitty, no name, kind of rundown skating rink in Wayne that, like, it's only busy on the weekends. They're open during the week for some stupid reason, but there's never anybody there. But man, on Saturday nights or the occasional Friday when there was a show, like, that place was jam packed. And I was always like, I would always think, man, it would be so cool to wrestle here, because like I saw I saw Dreamer and Big Dick Dudley Alex. I saw them work. That was another guy that I unfortunately he passed away way early into my career, but I was on a first name basis with him very, very briefly. I mean, that's where I first met Balls Mahoney before I even got started. I guess I could say this now because he's no longer with us, and his wife loves me. But when I was like a year or two out for maybe a year and a half out from actually going to meet Kevin or whatever, I don't know if I looked like a dirtbag. I mean, I had my long hair. Then I've had a beard since I was 12 years old. I never had the full beard thing. Like, I didn't. When I do that, I don't really like it. It's too bushy on me. I don't really like it. So I just leave the goatee. But I've always had the chin since I was 12. I always had the goatee and the chin. So,
since you're 12?
Yeah, that's when I'm Italian, man. I mean,
I mean, me too, but it took me forever. I still struggle.
No. When I was 12 was when my chin first started growing. Luckily, I don't have the Italian like werewolf syndrome. I have nothing on my back. Thank God.
No, you don't have like the JS Hawthorne, like wearing a sweater all year round.
No, my God, no. No, I don't know. I wouldn't. I love that guy to death.
I do too. He's very well aware of it too. He loves it.
Yeah, I know. I love that he uses that in matches. And I think a lot of people like, not that they don't realize it. Obviously, they realize that he's doing it, but a lot of people don't think that like maybe that's a psychology thing. Like, even guys that are training that have hair everywhere, like, dude, use that, man. Like, use it. If fans are gonna chant "shave your back," they're gonna think it's gross. Make a guy, like I've seen somebody do a back rake on Hawthorne, and he'll yell at the ref, "He's pulling my hair," and I'm like, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I said like he's one. Every podcast there's like a 3-minute Hawthorne love session, which is great. I love it. But
I love that guy so much. He's so good.
If he would have started in 99, could you, like, with his look, he would have been on TV
by 2004 at least.
Yeah. Who's that guy that's in AEW from the Monster Factory? He literally looks like he's not getting a lot of time, but he has that old school 80s look. Who is it?
Nick Camarata with the
long hair and like just a swole. Yeah. Dude, he looks like he would be like a villain in the 80s.
Yeah, he was a Monster Factory guy, then he was NXT for a while.
Yeah, so good.
Him and Louis, I was gonna say Luis. Him and Damian Priest are two guys that I met at Monster Factory that I was like, I told both of them to their face, like, you're gonna be on TV within 2 years, fucking easily.
And you said that the Damian back in the day.
Yeah, I said it
because if you look at photos of Damian of then and now, he's transformed himself.
This was before he was in ROH.
Oh wow!
And I was like, "You're going to be on TV," and then he was on Ring of Honor television like a year and a half, 2 years later. Yeah, and Camarado too. I don't know him as well. I mean, we're Facebook friends, but that doesn't mean anything, But Priest, I mean, I saw him. I don't want to say I met him a bunch of times, because I feel weird. I met him 8 times. Like, I met him once and I saw him 7 other times. But I met him a bunch of times at the Monster Factory shows.
Everyone's talking about what to do with that briefcase and like, oh, he's gonna cash it on Cody. And I was like, that's not how I would do it, honestly.
I want him to. You know what? I want him to cash it in on Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, that would be fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
but no, I would like Cody at the point right now. If you look at it, I love LA Knight, but LA Knight is up there in age.
I mean, sorry.
Yeah, and I know it's a new company, it's a new form, and it's a new everything. But I feel like I always get that thing where it's like LA Knight got over before he was supposed to, and he's gonna get punished for it any moment. But now Vince ain't there, so that's not a thing anymore.
Like the Zack Ryder syndrome.
Yeah, but like, if the Judgment Day breaks up, the best thing for him would do is get away from that brand and go to the other show. So like, and if Cody beats Roman, that does nothing for Cody. Cody's a megastar regardless. Like, no world title is going to help Cody get better or get more over.
Title. It lets him do the Dusty Rhodes thing still.
Yeah, but I think like if Priest is the guy who cashes in on Roman, that skyrockets him.
Oh yeah. And then have Cody beat Priest, maybe.
Yeah, or just Cody goes after Seth or whoever. If someone beats Seth before Mania and then Cody gets that title, but like, I would have Priest be the guy to dethrone Roman because I feel like he's still young. He has a lot left in his career, and that puts him on another stratosphere.
Is it just me, or do they kind of look alike?
A little bit.
I've always thought that.
Yeah.
I've always thought that since Reigns like grew the full beard thing. But yeah, so Priest was another guy that I say Luis because I'm just used to calling him that. But he was what Punishment Martinez in ROH. And when I first met him at Monster Factory, I said, "You're going to be on television within 2 years." And I'm Preston, just nobody.
Preston was there at time, right? Or was that a little later on? Preston Vance.
I never met him, so maybe he wasn't at the time.
He was a Monster Factory kid too, and Riddle was at Monster Factory at one point.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, that was way before I was there, I think. Or before I went. I wasn't
Sheamus,
there.
right? Sheamus was a Monster Factory kid.
Yeah. Yep. Big Show also. Although for some reason, Big Show doesn't credit Monster Factory for some reason. I don't know. But but yeah, and I was like, listen, I'm just another indie guy, man. Like I'm not, I'm nobody important. I don't have the talent to do it myself, but I see it in you. I know you're gonna fucking be on TV somewhere. And like I said, a year and a half, 2 years later, it was on ROH TV. Then he was NXT. I'm like, I fucking knew it. Same thing with
Yeah.
Camarado. When Camarado was in that, because he went, I think Nick Camarado, I think didn't do the ROH thing. He went right to NXT because I think ROH was already gone by the time he was may have been gone by the time he was in NXT. But
Mhm.
when I first heard that he had gotten signed, I'm like, fuck, I knew it. This is awesome. Like both of these guys are just good.
Yeah.
And I think NXT dropped the ball when they got rid of Camarado and let him go to AEW. I mean, he's not doing a lot over there, but he should be doing a lot more.
Yeah. So now that you've been in the business for as long as you've been and done every avenue of the business, and now you're doing this commentary at Three Legacies and a few other you still work at a few other promotions besides Three Legacies. Who are some people on the scene right now that like you see that Damian Priest in, or you see like they should be on TV or people should know about them?
I give you three names just because three is, I don't know, one of my lucky numbers, I guess. 3
Yeah.
and 7, and I probably can't think of 7 right off the bat right now. I'm gonna throw out a name that no one's probably ever heard of, unless two other guys from 3LW may have mentioned it, but oops, I almost said his other name, Al Snook.
This is why I don't learn people's real names. I like
Yeah,
because I mess it up, especially on commentary. I don't want to be the guy who drops the shit name.
Somebody said to me at the last Three Legacy show, it was somebody I had just met, and they introduced themselves by their real name, and I said, "Okay, but your ring name is blah blah blah." I don't even remember who it was now, and they were like, "Yeah, but you can just like whatever, say it's me. My real name is Joe. My gimmick name is Joe. That's why, because it's so easy to remember." And he was like, "Oh no, you can just call me Joe." And I'm like, "I don't want to know that because if I slip up and call you that on commentary, I don't want viewers or people watching it to go, who the hell is Joe?"
Yep.
There's whatever. There's Anthony and Bill in the ring. Who's Joe? Like,
yeah.
So he's like, "Oh, that's a good point." I'm like, yeah. So just don't ever tell me that.
I got in trouble, not in trouble, but I was in a drive-in, and I mean, I'll say the name. It was me and somebody was driving, and Kit Raff was in the passenger seat, and
Okay.
I'm in the back, and I'm like, "Yo, Kit, can you just hand me a straw?" He goes, you can call me by. I'm like, "No, don't even tell me it. I don't want to know because I'll fuck it up."
Yeah.
You're Kit forever, like that's
Yeah. So Al Snook is one. I'm sure I don't think a lot of people have heard of him yet. He just had his first match a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
But he trained with 3LW for a year, and I don't know, that kid I had the honor of calling his first match. It was against Ricardo Rodriguez.
That's
who was his
the
trainer.
heel. He's the one. He's like the first student that's like a heel coming out of there, right? The rest of them are doing that baby face.
No.
Like most of them are.
No, the first big heel is Clayton Adams.
That's it.
Yeah, he's the guy that's like 6'9" and jacked.
Okay.
But no, Al Snook is he's a baby face. He's like a little bit shorter guy, maybe my height, 5'7", 5'8", a little bit stocky. But man, the kid is good. I mean, if you listen to, and I don't remember when his first match was or what event, but if you listen to the commentary during his match against Ricardo, which was his first match, his first match in front of a crowd. I mean, obviously at a show or whatever. His first official pro match, I guess, is the best way to put it. And you hear my commentary, that's all legit. I was like amazed. No rookie mistakes. I mean, dude's doing high flying stuff, and he just looked like he had been doing it for at least a couple of years by then. And I was like, whoa, man, this kid's real good. And I pulled him aside afterwards, and I'm like, listen, I know I'm just a commentator here, but I did wrestle for 15 years and blah blah. And I'm like, I fucking pulled him in. I'm like, I am super fucking proud of you, man. Like, you killed it, dude. Like you. And I tell him every show he gets better and better. And every show I make it a point to pull him aside afterward and say, dude, you're getting so much fucking better. Like you're improving every single month or match or whatever. And so that kid, again, it's Al Snook. I don't know if I know he's got a Facebook. I don't know if he's got a Twitter or whatever, but he's one. Darius Carter is another one that I've been saying for years. I've been singing his praises for years. He should be already on weekly television, whether it's maybe Tuesday night or Wednesday night, or Monday night. I know he's not a big jacked up musclehead guy, so he might not fit the Monday night thing, or if they're still even looking
I
for
think
guys like that over there. But
he is a absolute beautiful fit for NXT. I feel because
yeah,
like I feel like NXT is where his character he can work on his character and get his character over.
yeah, oh yeah. He should be doing like psychology seminars everywhere because he's
And how to conduct
psychology and
yourself when you show up
promos.
at a show. It could be
That's what I mean.
he could be wrestling in someone's backyard,
In a
and that's not
barn,
even a
yeah.
joke. I watched him do that. That during the pandemic, it was a backyard show, no fans, closed set,
Yeah.
the whole nine, and he showed up in a 3-piece suit and a suitcase, like
Yeah.
he was walking into Madison Square Garden.
Yeah. He is like man, what's a good way he's the epitome of a professional wrestler, put it that way. At least in my eyes. I've been a big Darius Carter promoter supporter for year, promoter supporter, whatever, same thing, I guess. But yeah,
and just like
years.
J.S. Hawthorne, almost every podcast, Darius Carter gets his roses. They're just two names that just get dropped a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, he deserves it, man. I mean, I love that guy. I don't think I ever wrestled against him. Or with him. I don't think we've ever worked with each other, but I've always been a fan of his.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to come up with a third one. There's so many that I don't want to throw somebody in as three just to mention a guy's name. There's so many people that are just getting so good. Bro Keller, there's one. Bro Keller, current 3LW champion. I pulled him aside. So 3LW's got a training center. Ricardo is the trainer in Lancaster. So I had some after my last neck surgery. I had like the last 2 weeks. So I had 8 weeks where I was on disability, but I couldn't travel or drive for the first 6. So the last 2 weeks, I'm like, shit, I'm getting paid disability before I have to go back to my day job. I should do something with the last 2 weeks. So I took 3 of those days and I went to the training center in Lancaster and just hung out, just watched, hung out, saw how they trained, saw how Ricardo trained, met all their students, stuff like that. And I pulled Bro aside afterwards. And there was 2 guys that I pulled aside and I said, how long have you been wrestling for? And one guy said 7 years and one guy said like 2.5, 3 years. I don't remember which one Bro was, but whatever it was.
Bro's in the 7-year mark, I would say. I think he's been around a lot longer, yeah.
Because I was like, dude, you look like you've been working for 200 years, man. Like, he's so good.
He's done extra work on Raw and stuff. He's yeah.
I don't know if I've seen it and just didn't recognize him, or if I just haven't seen it. But he's like the white Darius Carter.
Yeah.
But just as far as like, he's so fucking good.
He's such a lovable babyface too. Like,
yeah,
I'm not saying this to be disrespectful, but like Matt Riddle has a charisma to him, like that dude bro vibe. But also like with Matt, I mean, historically, it's like, well, when you bring Matt in, you're gonna get Matt, or who are you gonna get as a character, as a person? And Bro Keller has that same vibe, but brings a different spin to it, but pure class.
I love that guy. He is so good. And I've told him before too. I'm like, man, you are so goddamn good. Like, everything he does is crisp. His timing is always perfect. Everything's believable. He's always anyway, calls himself all energy, but I'd say he's always energetic. Like, he always gets the crowd up. Like, man, the day that guy turns heel, the crowd is gonna fucking NWO Hogan him, I should say, and just throw shit into the ring because they're gonna hate.
I don't think I've ever seen him work heel ever.
I don't know if I don't know if it would be a smart, at least at 3LW, it wouldn't be a smart move, but if he ever does, man, he's got him. He's already got him.
Yeah.
But yeah, that
every promotion I've ever been to, he becomes the top guy. And like PPW, there was a laundry, like you had the Case Navarros, you had at one point in time Axon Andretti, you had Facade, you had Deshaun Pratt, you had like all these really, really big names and just giant characters. And every single time Bro becomes that guy, like people just gravitate to him.
I don't know how I had never heard of Bro before 3LW. I don't know how that happened or why I never heard of him, but
insanely good.
Yeah, he's one of the best in the independent scene out there at the moment, at least in the East Coast.
Yeah, totally agree.
In my opinion. I mean, and again, I have the honor of calling his matches every single month in Lancaster, and I mean, I couldn't be having more fun. And he was my so I guess I'm not giving anything away. Everyone knows this is a show and everything's predetermined. But we're never told any of the winners or anything. We're just given a list of matches. Half the time, I don't even know the order. I just know here's what we're going to do tonight. And, if such and such isn't coming, there'll be a cross next to his name. And whoever shows up, shows up. And, or whoever fills in. Sometimes we don't even know that. So on, I guess, the show or two before our big stadium show when we crowned Bro as the new champion, I said, whoever ends up getting to the finals in this tournament, my money's on Bro Keller. And if he ends up being in the finals, my money's on him to win the title. And I didn't know anything. I worked there, but I wasn't told anything. And when he won the title, I was like, oh my God. I went nuts. It was great. And
that's a cool dynamic of commentaries when you have that moment.
I prefer it that way. I don't want to know anything. I want everything to be a natural reaction. And so actually that show, I think yesterday or today maybe, just got released on Premier Streaming Network. So if you hear that commentary, that's all legit. And I was so happy for him because again, that's such a and outside of the ring, just backstage, he's such a good dude. Mm-hmm. And he's always like super friendly and like approachable to fans. Like, I don't know, he's just a real good guy. Like, he's a guy that deserves to be way up here, and one day he'll get there. And I don't think it'll take him long to do it either.
Yeah, and who's the I'm sorry if I'm saying this, there's no disrespect. It's just there's so much talent that I see on a daily basis, but Chris was singing her praises. She's like one of the upper star girls coming out of 3LW. Oh my gosh, he said I don't want to say her name wrong.
Zoe Cannon.
Zoe Cannon. I almost said Zoe Starks, but I know it's not Zoe Starks. It was Zoe something. Yeah.
I think,
but she can be a Zoe Starks. Yeah. Zoe Cannon, I've seen her perform at PPW a couple times. Very, very good. Did not know she was a Ricardo student, but now as someone who you've seen so many different wrestling schools and you've been around as long as you have, what makes 3LW in your experience of seeing the training and seeing how things go? What makes that school stand out that you would say, hey, if you're new in the business or you're looking for something and you're in the Lancaster area, this is why you should be here?
Well, first of all, they've got a guy that's already been there, training him in Ricardo. And there's a lot of, like, for example, Kevin Knight told us this straight up. Another honorable thing that you had mentioned before is pretty honorable. Another thing that he did that I feel the same way about was he came right out in our first class and said, none of you have heard of me. I've only wrestled on independents. I've done dark matches for WWE or whatever, but I'm not a big WWE guy or WWF at the time. Not a WWF superstar or whatever. So if you look at that and think, well, who the hell is this guy to have a wrestling school? He's never done anything. Then that's totally okay if you want to get up and leave right now. And nobody did. But that's always something that's stuck in my brain. Like. Again, Ricardo's been there. He's been at WWE. He's worked the WrestleMania. I mean, guy's worked WrestleMania. That's the biggest show of the year in any over any company. That's the biggest show of the year.
Yep.
Yeah. And he's worked there. He's worked sorry, got a text message. He's worked WrestleMania. So that's one reason why I would recommend that school. And second of all, you just watch him in the ring. I know he didn't get a lot of ring time on WWE TV. And I mean, I know people that didn't even know he was a wrestler, and I'm like, yeah, he wrestled before he was in WWE.
It's crazy. During the interview with him, he was. I didn't realize that he was also like Regal pulled him aside and was like, "You're my guy. If I need someone to go in there and work somebody in the ring, you're going to be the one that goes in there and does it because I can get a feel for through you in the ring of how this person can get better." Yeah. So like shoulder to shoulder with William Regal and working Roman before Roman is Roman, working all those names that you see on TV, Ricardo like rolled with and got a vibe for them. And like that, I mean, like I respect William Regal as one of the goats of this business. So the fact that William Regal's seen Ricardo and was like, you're my guy. And people just see him as the ring announcer, but he's more than that. Like he's such a good performer as well. But for Regal to be like, yo, you're that dude, go in there, work this kid, let's get him ready for TV. That's it. Yeah. Now he has a school, cash in on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I mean, he's worked everywhere. He's worked all over the world, so he's got experience in every different style. So even if you go there and say, I just want to learn like this style, like he could do all that stuff. I mean, he could do, Mexican style and British style wrestling and USA, American style, whatever you want to call it, WWE style. He could do, which is a little bit different than your traditional American style wrestling, but but he could do all that. I mean, it's another reason why I would totally go there, and it's also a reason why I wouldn't, as much as I want to, and I've always wanted to since like 2010. Open up my own school. I never will, just out of respect for the business, because who the hell am I? I've never been anywhere above the independent. So how can I expect someone to pay me, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, whatever it is, to train them when, or how can I should say, how can I expect them to expect me to tell them how to get to the big time? And I've never been there myself. So maybe I don't know how to get there. I mean, I know how to get there. You do what the fuck you do, and you get scouted, and someone says, "Hey, I like you," blah blah blah. But it's never happened to me. So I feel like if I had my own school, that would be disrespectful to anyone that would pay me to train them. And I mean, unless I was a billionaire and I could do it for free, like, all right, here's a building, anyone wants to come down, come on down. But yeah, that's one reason why I probably would never open up my own school as much as I want. And now that I can't even bump anymore, it's difficult to bump when you can't bump,
But you can also go to that promotion and like you being a part of that training school and just kind of giving people like, hey, I've been around these people in the business. This is what works. This is what doesn't. And then also like you come from a commentary standpoint. Like I will never bump with my body and I will never ever have a match. That's not something that's in the cards for me. But I try to soak that in, like going to a school as a commentator like that. Like they're the things I try to soak in and learn. So like,
yeah,
for instance, like I've called a shoot injury one time during a match and didn't know it was a shoot injury because like I just knew, like watching mixed martial arts for as many years as I watched it, like Deshaun Pratt got kicked in the arm and he immediately was like, I was like, Deshaun Pratt looks like he broke his arm, and I called it. And like 2 days later, Deshaun's like, yeah, you what you said on commentary was legit. Like he shattered my forearm, and I was like, oh, and like I'm like, I hope I didn't like ruin anything.
That was
like
a couple years ago, right?
Yeah, it was Bobby Fish. Bobby Fish kicked Deshaun and broke his arm, but it was like,
yeah, I remember that. I love that guy, Deshaun. I love him. He's such a good dude.
The goat. Also, if you're looking for a school and you're in Jersey, he's pretty much the trainer at CZW.
CZW, yeah.
And he pretty much told people, if you don't have money, come pay me and sweat. If you're willing to put the work in, Deshaun will train you. So that's another school to go check out.
I wish I had money because I would do the same thing. And I would get guys that I've known through the business that come down and do spots, do training for a week or whatever. Like
that's essentially what the sanctuary is right now. Like Trotsky doesn't really charge people that much. Like he has a building, he has a space, he has a very safe ring, and you go in there and you work with him. But then also Hawthorne's like a trainer there, Polino's a trainer there, like Billy Walker, who's from Johnny Rod's school. Like they're all people who can go in there and you can learn from. And it's he's just trying to help the next generation of the business.
Yeah, I would love to do something like that. I would love to get a building and a ring and just say, like, hey, come on down. Like that's how I got started. I mean, when I was at Kevin's, we would do he would do what do you call it? Guest trainers, like maybe once a month or maybe like either one day a month or like once or twice out of the month, or he would have like a different guy in each day or whatever. But like that, so I mean, Kevin was the main trainer and like Biggie Biggs was the co-trainer, but the guys that came down that trained us were all like, or that guest trained us, they were all ECW guys. So like Carino trained me. Like the guys that have a hand in my training, at least I always say Carino, Doring, ref Mike Keener. He's the one that trained me as a ref. Dawn Marie, who I still talk to all the time. Simon Diamond. And that might be it actually. Maybe Roadkill came down with Doring. I don't remember. But all those guys came down, and I think Guido came down once or twice too. That's another guy that I met like before I got started. I used to work at one of them 10-minute oil change places, which at the time I didn't know it was in the town that Guido lived in. And he just came in one day in his little Dodge Neon, and I'm like, wait a minute, I know you. Like, and then after that, he would come every time he would come to get his oil change. He would bring a fucking stack of ECW shirts.
That's awesome.
And posters and shit. Yeah, it was so cool. But yeah,
he's still doing it too. Still doing it.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's how that was part of my training too, is having guys come in and just do guest training for a day or two, or a week at a time, whatever. But
I think it's amazing. I tell people all the time, like, even if you're part of a school, go do if you're like, hey, I don't have class tonight, like, go seek out other schools and see what days they train and just go in for a day. Like, if you're a student here, go check out 3LW and see if you can go in for a training session, because that one night there might open up the platform to doors and get you a booking or just get you another style that you didn't know. And if you're in the Northeast PA scene and you're willing to drive 2-3 hours, man, you're in a hotbed. You're in a hotbed,
it's
man.
Worth
you
it. Even if you're in like Jersey. So where I am now, there's no more training centers around. Kevin's was like the last one. He shut down a while back.
Well, Jersey has what? Is it Create a Pro or Create a Wrestler? Because I know there's two different ones.
Create a Pro's New York.
Yeah, so Create a Wrestler's Jersey.
Oh no, I never even heard of it.
Yeah, so the Create a Pro's in New York, and they have a Jersey brand that's Create a Wrestler.
Oh yeah, I never heard of that.
Then you have Monster Factory, that's still there.
Monster Factory's in South, but I'm saying like as far as my area, because Monster Factory's still 2.5-3 hours away from me.
Yeah.
So like I'm saying, as far as my area, I'm in North Jersey. I'm in Passaic County, which is right on the border of Bergen County, which is on the border of Rockland County, New York. So like around this area, there's nothing left up here. Like there used to be Ace, Mike Morgan's school, and like they're gone now. And then Jersey All Pro, and they've been gone for a long time. And Kevin Knight's, which was IWF. I haven't even mentioned the name. I've just said Kevin Knight 1,000 times. But yeah, they're gone now. So as far as like around here, there's not really nothing left.
Yeah, and you're gonna have to travel. That's just part of the business.
That I'm aware of at least. But that's so. Even if you're up here and it's 2 hours to Lancaster, 2.5 hours, it's worth it to go up there. I mean, they do. I think it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, something like that, or Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday, Monday. I don't remember. Don't quote me on that.
Leo Sparrow on the podcast said that he would get on his bike, ride his bike 2 miles, get on a train with his bike, take a train an hour or two, get off the train, ride his bike another hour, just to get to Create a Pro to train, and then do that 3 days a week. Like, if you want it, you gotta get it.
When I was still in training, a guy that hasn't wrestled in years is actually into acting now, Josh Daniels. He was going to college in Syracuse University, which from here is a 6-hour drive.
Yeah.
So he would come to training on his days off of school, but then he would still have training he would still have classes like the following day. So he would drive down here in the morning. 6-hour drive, 5.5 hours, whatever. And then we would do like 6 to 10 or 6 to 11 training. So 4 or 5 hours training. Then he would drive all the way back to Syracuse to go to class the following morning. And he was doing that 2-3 times a week sometimes. And I'm like, man. And he was, that guy was, I'm when I first heard that he's no longer wrestling, I was like, I almost cried. I'm like, man, that kid was so fucking good. We were calling him Dynamite in training because he was second coming Dynamite Kid. And he was jacked. That kid could have been WWE champion in fucking 2 years, 3 years. I mean, he worked Japan. They called him Elvis, which I know he wasn't that thrilled about, but he worked Japan. But yeah, man, that kid was real good. I wish he was still wrestling. But yeah, that was just an example like Leo Sparrow, driving 4,000 hours every 10 minutes just to to train for 4 or 5 hours and then drive another 6 hours back to college, and then have to get up to go to classes in the morning,
and then try to work a shoot job on top of it to pay your bills. Yeah, it's crazy. So the last question I want to ask you here, and we'll kind of dive into what you're doing now in the commentary thing. Okay. What now doing commentary with your broadcast partner? What are some things that maybe you've learned or you're picking up, or things that you just enjoy about working at 3LW as a commentator?
Oh man, it's a blast. I've been doing commentary for a long time. I did it in 05. I started in commentary 05-06 when I used to work for Steve Carino when he was running Pro Wrestling World 1.
Mm-hmm. Got a good kid. I'm a big fan of his kid.
He's okay. He beat me once, so I'm kind of sore about it. But I wrestled Colby when Colby was 12 years old. It was amazing. And
he's a NWA champion now, right? He just won the NWA title.
He just won something a couple weeks ago, US or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was. North American champion, maybe. But yeah, I it was funny because I didn't even know we were having this match, and then and Steve sent me a message and was like, "Can you do me a favor?" I'm like, "Yeah, what's up?" He's like, "Can you take care of the kid?" I go, "I don't know what you're talking about." He's like, "You're wrestling Colby." I'm like, "Are you kidding me? That's awesome." And he was 12 years. I go, "Wait, he's 12 years old though." I'm like 19 or Well, I was much older than that. I didn't start till I was 23, but I was probably 25, 26 at the time. And he was like, yeah, just take care of him. It'll mean a lot. I'm like, dude, I fucking love you, man. Of course I'll take care of him. And
That's crazy. You know what? Real quick, just to kind of people look at Nick Wayne now, a conversation I just had where people are like, well, Nick Wayne doesn't deserve it. He's getting pushed too quick. It's nepotism. It's this, it's that. He's 18 years old. How can he have the experience to do what he's doing? You just said because Colby didn't have to do anything at 12 years old, but he had the heart and determination to do it and want to learn. Like Colby, same way Nick Wayne. Everyone sees 18 years old on Nick Wayne's resume and says, well, what has he done in 18? That kid has probably had more ring time than 90% of the people who are in the business now who've been doing it 5 or 6 years, and he's 18. You know what I mean? Like same with Zoe Starks. Like everyone's like, Zoe Starks, how is she 18 years old and already signed to a company? Because while she was in high school, every single talent in the country and the world, like she was getting booked across seas, was begging to work her at the age of 17 and 18 because how talented she is. Like that age thing is it's kind of good and it's kind of bad. Like people just see that age and like the old school veterans think, well, it's too early for this person, that they shouldn't be doing that. And it's just like, look, you're just saying it yourself. Like Colby, 12 years old, just like get in there and get a match and you're excited about it because you knew the kid had promise. Like that's exciting with this new generation's coming up.
Yeah, and I told him, like, listen, I'll put him over. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. And he's like, really? Like, he's 12 years old. You've been wrestling like 4 years. I'm like, how do I care, dude? That doesn't matter. It's not real.
Yeah.
But and the cool thing was he did Steve's finisher for the finish, which Steve didn't know about, because he was like, I don't want to know what you guys are gonna do. I don't want to know who's going over, anything like that. And that's what I told him, like, I'll put him over. I don't care. But then when he did the finisher and we came backstage, and Steve was like, oh my god, thank you so much. He gave me a big hug. It was really cool. I forgot what we were even talking about.
Doing commentary.
Oh, yeah. So I was doing commentary when I started working for Steve in like 0506, and coincidentally I started podcasting around the same time too. I started doing podcasts in 2004. I know people think that the Cabana guy is the first one to do wrestling podcasts. 2004. Anyway,
you're a trendsetter.
But yeah, so shortly before like the last one or two shows for World One, when Carino was running, we didn't know it was gonna be the last show. But I was like, hey man, can I get in the ring, dude? Like, I love doing commentary, but like I want to get in the ring. And he was like, yeah, man, no problem. I'll give you some dates. I'm like, oh, that's great. And then like 2 shows later, because we had stuff booked for months in advance. Like 2 shows later ended up being our last show. I'm like, oh shit. Never actually had to wrestle for World War I. I just got to do commentary. But like we did shows at like the AMF Boulevard Lanes, the bowling alley in Philadelphia, and like there were so in the bar, right? So say like the bar's here. So you go sit at the bar. So like where your back was just a huge open area that looked like a dance floor. We would just put the ring there and do shows in there. It was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And there were fans would buy me beers, and my one buddy Josh would always buy a pitcher before the show started, and I would just
commentary beers are the best.
I would just drink and drink and drink. I mean, there were times where I listened back and I'm like, I'm like, Steve, how do you not get rid of me by now? Like, I can't even understand what I'm saying. Like, I would slosh sometimes. Very, very
Travis Dorian comes to the ring with beers, and he always every time he's at a show and I'm on commentary, he always packs an extra one and then brings it over to commentary for me. And I'm just like,
nice. Nice. I haven't seen that guy in years. I don't think. I wouldn't do that today, because at the time it was supposed to be goofy and wacky, and we were in a bar. But yeah, I realized how unprofessional that was, and Steve's never said don't do that. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah, you don't get the trick is you don't get smacked. You just enjoy a beer, like it's like anything else, right? You know. There's only one show I got smoked on. It was Pro Wrestling After Dark. It was like Atlantic City adult theme show, and they're like, yeah, you guys can drink. And I just remember it was me and Pete DeLong, and then they threw a third guy in, and the third guy about 3 minutes into the thing, like, because I was kind of like the heel smart ass commentator, like I feel like my style's like, I'm not setting a new bar. Obviously, I try to do a little bit of Heenan. I try to do a little I was telling Chris a little Heenan, a little Ventura, but then
Me
I was
too.
doing Pat McAfee before Pat McAfee, where I try to
Right.
commentate from the spot of a fan as well. Like
Yeah.
I'm an unapologetic Mark, but I still like can tell a story. Like I'm good at
Yeah.
telling the story. And then he said something like took a shot at me, and I was just like, "You're screwed." Like the rest of the show, I just roasted him. Like,
Oh
but
man,
how would you say
commentary's
your
so
style?
fun though.
Yeah, oh, I love it. What would you say your style of commentary? Like, if someone were to listen to you, like, what do you try to pull out for your style when you're doing matches?
Well, so my style, 3LW aside, I try to do the same thing. Heenan and Ventura, like heelish, but not like this guy's a fucking asshole. Fuck him. Like
Yeah,
not
yeah,
that harsh. But I'll throw in like a joke. Hey, this guy's initials are ABJ. Like
yeah.
just something like that, something silly that people can giggle at. But I'm not completely burying you. But for 3LW, I try to do not heelish stuff or not babyface stuff. Just kind of like in the middle, and
Mm-hmm.
like I try to like not bury guys. I try to just do color without being colorful. I guess if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah,
So Chris does like usually straight up play by play, and then I'll bring up a fact about whoever's in the ring, and we'll kind of riff off of that a little bit.
yeah.
But it's almost like I've been a heel for 20 years now in everything I've done, managing, or at least everything I've done in front of the camera. So commentary,
Mm-hmm.
managing, wrestling. I've in GM. I've done the GM thing a couple times too, where I was also a heel. So it's hard to now go to Lancaster and not do that, but it's what I try to do now.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of hard. But like other companies, like I also work for NFW in Jersey, and I'm an agent / producer backstage there. But on the shows, I also do commentary, and there I just let it fly. Whatever comes
Yeah.
to mind, I just say, as long as it's something to do with whoever's in the ring. And I'm a heel anyway, so whoever's this guy's a babyface. Oh, he's a jerk off. I saw this
Yeah.
guy. I saw this guy outside and I asked him for an autograph, and he actually tried to give it to me, and I laughed in his face, like something stupid that'll let me know that I'm a heel. Let people know that I'm a heel, but that also this guy's a babyface. I'm not just a heel that'll shit on everybody.
Yep. One of the
But
things I got heat for when I started doing the commentary, the heel commentary, is like, well, you flip flop too much. I was like, what do you mean? They're like, you're one match you're rooting for the heel, and the next match you're rooting for the babyface. I said, yeah, and they're like, you're not like that's. I'm like, have you ever listened to Bobby Heenan?
right,
Bobby Heenan wasn't straight down the middle. Every heel in the ring he was a fan of. There was heels that Bobby Heenan didn't like, and they're
yeah,
like,
and that he went back, yeah,
I was like, you should probably do more research. Like, I think it's too it's too simple to just say, almost like voting, like red or blue. Like, I don't like that. Like, you can flip flop. You know what I mean? Like the biggest baby face, like Ricky Price, I was like, oh, I hate him. And even if it's a heel, I hated him. Like,
yeah.
yeah. There's some guys that the one bit I like to do, no matter where he wrestles, I act like I've never seen him wrestle ever before, no matter where I'm at. Like, they're like, and here he comes. I'm like, never heard of him. And they're like, you called his match last week. And I'm like, I have never seen this man in my life.
I like that. That's a good gimmick. That's pretty funny. I like that.
Just good stuff. Or like if the heel does something heel, I'm like, oh, he was just washing his eyes out. Like, no, he gouged his eyes. Like, he was plucking an eyelash. Like, just just trying to bring that humor. But yeah, I don't know. It's commentary is tough, man, because people are super critical of it. Like,
it's deceivably tough. Like fans, I think, don't realize how hard it is to like. I mean, it's not as simple as like just, hey, hip toss, tackle, drop down, body slam. Hey, look at that. That's great. That was a great punch or wonderful, missile drop kick. It's like, man, you got to do stuff in between the moves to keep viewers or listeners, whatever, entertained and still keep them, because anybody can, watch a guy throw a clothesline, 10 times or whatever, or 46 super kicks in one match, but you still got to like, there's got to be some kind of story there that besides that the commentators are getting across or getting over.
Yeah.
And, in order to keep some fans around. Some fans will watch anything, no commentary, commentary or not. That's fine. And I appreciate that. That's how I am. I don't care if there's no commentary on a show. I'm going to watch it anyway. Yep. But I'm talking as far as like aired stuff. Obviously, if I go to a live show, I'm not hearing the commentary. But as I've said that before, and some idiot on Twitter was like, "Don't you go to shows? You don't have commentary there." I know, stupid. That's not what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, I get it, you smart ass.
Yeah.
But
It's fun to tell the story too, because like there's been situations where two people in the ring and just like I've kind of put a storyline together that may have not have been there because I'm just kind of watching what they're telling in the ring.
yeah,
And then they come back after and they're like, yo, I listened to commentary back and like now I want to work an angle with him because what you said on commentary made a lot of sense and we can roll with that. So like that's a lot of fun too, is when you're able to put something into someone's character that maybe they didn't see that you did on commentary and you kind of added to their thing.
I said something a couple months ago with 3LW, and I don't remember who it was now, but they came up to me after the match and they were like, "Did you pick up on whatever it was?" And I said, "Yeah, I said it on commentary. I hope that's okay." He's like, "That's exactly what I was going for because I want that to lead into something." So I was hoping that one of you guys picked up on it and said it. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I absolutely said it." I'm like, "That's why I'm coming to you because I want to make sure it's okay that I said that because if not,
they're the big wins.
I'll tell Andy, the production guy, to edit that comment out." He's like, no, that's what I wanted. I'm like, oh, thank God, I did something right. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going a bit here. We definitely got to touch on.
I'm Italian.
I love it. Same here. This will be a 4-hour podcast if I don't put an end to it.
Let me say one last thing about commentary. I think it's not necessarily a lot more fun than being in the ring, but it hurts a lot less. And because
that's why I love it.
I broke my neck. I broke my spine. That's why I'm no longer wrestling. I had to stop in 2015, unfortunately, but it hurts a lot less, but it also pays a lot less.
Yeah.
But I don't care. It's so much fun.
I think it's kind of bullshit. I'm not gonna lie. Listen, do I respect the talent?
The entire show.
Exactly.
Right?
You're like,
I'm out there for 3 hours when Joe Blow from wherever is coming, driving 10 minutes from home. He's in there for 8 minutes
in a rumble.
Oh my God,
he's in there for 6 minutes in a rumble. Gets tossed out in 3.
I got to bring up. I don't know why I said 8 minutes, but I got to bring up this hilarious story that had nothing to do with anything we talked about except for Steve Carino. But when I was working at Excite in New York for Johnny Moose, Carino was on a show. I think he was wrestling IB Green, and he did a promo. He came out after the first match to do a promo, and he was doing his promo, and he's like, so all of the matches at Excite are always like either 8 to 10 or like 12 to 15 or whatever. So Carino's doing his promo, and he's got the mic right here. He's like, "I'm gonna come out there and I'm gonna kick your ass," and then he puts the mic down. And he goes, he like looks up in the air like he's thinking for a minute. And he comes back for 8 to 10 minutes. It was so funny. It was the funniest thing I'd ever heard in the promo. Like live, it was so funny. But anyway, So we're out there. Like I said, we're out there for the 3 hours of the show, or the duration, 2.5 hours.
But you're not even counting like the 2 hours before the show where you're going around the locker room and getting notes from everybody and prepping everything. And
yeah.
It's a lot. It's like when people say like, "Oh man, I go to this show and we did this rib." I'm like, when did you have time? Like, I wish I had time for any of that. Like,
but it's a lot of fun. It's just like I said, it hurts a lot less, but it also pays a lot less. But I'm okay with it hurting a lot less.
Well, hopefully one of these days, Chris said he wants to get in the ring one time. I said, well, you go wrestle, and then I'm going to sit with Joey, and we're going to call it. But hopefully one day down the road we can do some commentary together.
If that's his plan, I'd like him to get trained first because this is like, I was one of those guys that like, it won't happen to me regarding injuries. And then it happened to me. And I'm like, man, I don't understand. I didn't do any crazy crap. I didn't do any jumping off buildings. I've done 1 or 2 like hardcore like weapons matches or whatever, and I broke my neck. I'm like, wait, where did that come from? I don't understand. I didn't do anything.
Was it from a chair shot? Like, how did you actually break
it? No, it was wear and tear, and then just eventually when it got to that point, it's time to go, and that was the end of 2013. So I took off all 2014, and then I did. My final 5 matches was February, March, April, May, June of 2015. So I took off all 2014 and then January 2015 just so I could work it out that my last match would be. I was hoping on the same date as my first, but I missed it by 5 days. So my first match was I don't even know now. My first match was June 20th, 2000, and my last was June 25th, 2015. It just happened that was the closest date to the 20th that we can get on a Saturday for the building that we were running in.
Yeah.
So, but it was just wear and tear. Just when it happened, that was its time.
That sucks.
I didn't know anything that day. I mean, I was, adrenaline, everything was fine. Then I woke up the next morning and couldn't move anything. And I was like, what the fuck? And eventually went and got it looked at. My problem was this happened in early November. I think it was November 10th was the show this happened on. My problem was I still wrestled November. Actually, no, it was October. I wrestled, November 2nd, for Christ's sake. I'll get it. Well, I'll get there at some point. November 2nd was the when I got hurt. November 10th was my NWA debut, which I was not missing. When I was growing up, my dream was to work for the NWA. Everyone else is like, I'm going to be WWE champion and work at WrestleMania. That would be nice, but my dream was to work for the NWA. And I didn't care if it was some regional NWA promotion in New Jersey, which is what it ended up being. Didn't matter. As long as they're under the NWA banner, then I was working for the NWA, and that was my goal as a kid. And I finally got to do that a week after I got the injury, but I was not past. Like I wasn't gonna like tell them, hey, I ain't making it.
You're Kurt Angle in the Olympics. It's getting done.
Yeah. Well, my problem was that it went out on November 2nd. I still wrestled the rest of November, all of December, and the first 3 weeks of January with it broken. And then I went and got looked at the last week of January 2014.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's like Philly Mike. Philly Mike wrestled probably 3 or 4 years with he thought was just a bum knee, waited, worked every weekend for 3 years, and then was like, I think I'm going to go get this checked out. And ACL, MCL, and everything, the meniscus gone in his knee. They're like, how have you been moving?
Yeah, I did that too. I tore my MCL, my meniscus in my left knee. But when I worked on it for 3 years. When I went in to get my neck finally looked at, my doctor was like, how are you not in a wheelchair? I don't understand. And I'm like, I don't understand either, but I'm going to hope to keep it that way.
Yeah. So where can people find you on social media?
Joey Image YT on every social platform. YT is in YouTube. Go to my YouTube, please subscribe. I stream live there as often as I can, usually once, twice a week.
Yep, you do a great job. We'll definitely put all the links below.
The thing that you and I did, whatever it was, a couple weeks ago, where I just threw out a random link and said, hey, let's talk. I did that again last Saturday, and another guy that I don't know, but I know him just online. He hopped on, and we talked for like 2 hours or 2.5 hours just about like
I love it. I had such a good time doing that. It wasn't live when we did it, but it was like a test thing, but I had a blast.
Yeah, but it was so cool. And I think we did it on here, so it didn't have a time limit because we got cut off. Yeah, I think when we tried it, it was Zoom. Yeah, and we got cut off after 45 minutes or whatever it was. And this one we went like 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
That's a great idea. I might lift that from you. I might just do like, here's a link. Whoever joins, let's have a fun time. Like that's, I think it's a good idea. It's a good conversation.
I want to try to do that like once a week and just see who randomly pops in.
If you ever need something to bounce off of until someone comes in, we could dual interview people. I think
that would be awesome.
Yeah, let's do it.
I would love to do that live, but the thing is, like, I think my only issue is like my buddy the other night, he didn't join until I was already live for like 25 minutes, and then would just be sitting there doing nothing. I'm like, I'd rather do this not live and just edit it so I can cut out that crap, that dead air.
Well, if you have someone to banter off of, then you guys can bullshit until someone joins in, and you don't have that dead air.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, thank you so much. Make sure you follow him on social media. Yeah, we're definitely touching back because there's so much more we didn't talk about when it comes to like pop culture and video games of everything that we're into. But we'll definitely come back around. Like I said, we'll be here for 6 hours if someone doesn't give us the blinking light in the back. Like
we did we did when I was still when me and a couple other people were running Grand Slam Wrestling GSW in Pennsylvania. We wanted to start doing our shoot interview series with just indie guys, not names, not anyone you've heard of.
That's dangerous.
Just indie guys, because we got stories to tell too. So we did a test run with me, and Chris wrote out a whole bunch of questions, and that him and like 2 or 3 other guys came up with, and he had 6 pages of notes, and we did 6 hours of recording, and he only got through his first 2 pages. We never went back to it.
Like, shoot interviews in the indie scene tough because you still have to get bookings. When people are on TV, they have a demand, you know.
Right. But he went through only 2 pages of 6 pages, and we never even finished the rest of it. And we went 6 hours. I don't shut up, dude. As you can see right now.
I'm the same way. But that'll do it for the ABJ Podcast, episode 99. Next episode, next Thursday, the big 100. Who will it be? I might know, but I don't know. So we'll see how it goes. But that'll do it. Here's the music by the Converse Kid. We'll see you guys next time. We're out of here.